And then with applause, would you welcome Josh Vitek, Pete Johnston, and John Moyer? All right, here you go, John. Now, for those of you that are daybreakers, you've been around a church, or maybe you went to our Christmas services this year, and we had a video story about one of the elders at our church. His name is Bill Keyline. And if Bill Keyline moved to Hollywood, started directing movies, which of these three do you think might be Bill Keyline? This is Pete, this is Josh, and you guys probably know John. Hey guys, step over here in the front, if you will, so we can see a little bit better. And before we start the movie and take some time to listen to some music, tell us a little bit, John, why don't you start first, how you got involved with this project?
Well, it's pretty hard to, as you can imagine, describe 5 years in 5 minutes, but yep. The easiest way for me to describe it is to share a story with you about my dad. And my parents were missionaries, so they went to Africa in 1972. I was born over there, raised over there. But my dad was given an assignment to go to Madagascar to basically get approval from the government to operate in Madagascar. While he was there, he was in a crowded marketplace area with one other missionary, and basically a bunch of guys came up and tried to steal his camera. There was this big shuffle, and the other missionary kind of took my dad and grabbed him and kind of went into a storefront. And they got into that storefront and happened to run into a guy that was the owner of the television network for the entire country and said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, we're here to try to get approval to start our church." And he said, "Well, do you have a heart for street children? Because there's 1 million of them that need help." Turns out they said, "Yeah, that's what we do." Yeah. And so he basically said, I've been working with Tina Turner, who is originally from Madagascar. We want to put on a concert. Would your church be willing to help us put on the concert, and we'll donate $1 million and get the operation started for the street kids?" And they said, "Yeah, that's what we do." And then they went home later that night, and this is the cool part of the story.
I thought the other part was cool so far. Tina Turner, you had me at Tina Turner.
The cool part of the story is the guy, his name was John Cunningham, that basically helped my dad into the store. He had a tape in his top pocket, and it was like a tape that somebody gave him, like, I don't know, a sermon on tape or something. And we
used to have these little rectangle things for you younger people out there. Before CDs, they play music, yeah. A cassette tape.
Yeah, a cassette tape.
Okay.
And
he had a roll of tape in his pocket?
Yeah, a roll of duct tape. No. And he pulled it out, and there was a perfect slit, and basically they had tried to stab him. And he had like a little cut, like, on his skin. But the whole point of that story is that God just basically orchestrated this divine moment for everybody to meet.
Yeah.
And that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, basically the three of us came together, and Vic and everybody involved with the film just were drawn to it.
You're that cool, you can just call him Vic? Wow. Mr. Wooten, I apologize that when you went on that first trip to Haiti, I was on that trip with you. You probably didn't dream that it would turn into something like this. Although you were taking a ton of pictures and video while we were there, so maybe it was already stirring. Yeah, it's neat how God can orchestrate these things and connect you with the right people to help it become something great. So, Pete, you tell us, how did you get involved with the film?
Well, John had come back from his, I think, second trip in Haiti at that point. Yeah, first or the second, and he shared a story where he met, you'll see tonight, Beckenson Peterson, who we found out was a great fan of Victor Wooten. Being that I work for an organization, I've had the ability to work with Victor before. We had a connection there, and he shared the story with me, and I sat there at the table going, "This is a wonderful story. I don't want to give too much away. You'll see it in the film tonight." And John said, "I need help putting this film together," which is what I do for a living. So I said, "Absolutely, let's do it. Whatever whatever you want, John. And John's been a good, trusted friend of mine for a long time, and the opportunity was there, so I got involved and didn't know, went back and forth a few times, I think. I said, yes, I'll do it. No, I'm not going to Haiti. Are you crazy? and
Up until like 2 days.
It's hot there.
Yeah, I went back and forth for a long time on whether I was going to do this, and it got to the point, obviously, where I had committed. I needed to follow up, and I'm so glad I did, because it was a profound trip. Learned a valuable life lesson that you'll hopefully get to share some of that tonight, that I got to bring home with my family. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I couldn't imagine. The great thing about this film, none of us have gotten paid a dime. This is all out of the love of our hearts. And Victor's got a busy schedule, and he was gracious enough to come along with us and do this thing. And Josh can tell you a little bit more about how he got involved. But there's divine intervention going on here for sure, and there's something that brought us all together, and here we are.
That's awesome. And I guess tonight you've got to rush up because you're up for 3 Academy Awards up in Hollywood, right? So
yes.
Whenever you need to leave, bro, you go ahead and go. Yeah. And this is Josh. Josh is the producer. Josh, tell us a little bit about how you got involved.
I do public relations and marketing, and I was trying to grow my business here locally. And through an organization that Pete works with, and likewise John had worked with as well, I had actually reached out to John to offer up my services. For those of you who don't know, John's a phenomenal photographer, and he has this wonderful collection of wildlife photos that he's taken on trips out to Africa. The lions, the tigers, no bears, but elephants and giraffes and whatnot. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. So anyhow, we had landed an exhibition for him of his artwork through the city of Carlsbad. And in fact, during that time is when he was on his second trip out to Haiti. And when we returned, we got together to break everything down, and we got together for a coffee here right down the street. And he starts flipping through photos on his iPad and starts telling me the story about a couple out in Haiti with 10 children of their own. They had brought in an additional 17 children who, for the most part, were left to their own devices from the earthquake. And this couple was fending for them. I mean, providing them food, providing them shelter, clothing, and even an education. And as he goes through these photos, these children are just absolutely beautiful. And he comes across one of the older boys. And John proceeds to tell me that he's a musician, that he plays bass, and we continue going through the photos, and you can see this boy, he's teaching and working with the little kids. You can see that he's dancing with them, he's teaching them music, he's just being wonderful. And as, again, the conversation goes further along, John mentions that his hero is Victor Wooten. And immediately, I just literally blurted out, I know Victor.
Mr. Wooten.
Yeah, Mr. Wooten. And I mean, I did it loudly because people in the coffee shop heard me. They turned and they looked, and I kind of looked like a fool. But what happened was immediately my wheels were spinning. I mean, I wanted to call Victor, maybe get the kids some autographs, some CDs. Maybe Victor is an author. He's written a book. Get him a copy of the book. I just wanted to do something to brighten this kid's day. Give him something that would maybe inspire him, maybe motivate him to keep playing his bass. Again, just make his day a little bit brighter. John was up for that. So as the weeks went on and we're trying to make that happen, there was other things that just kept nagging at me, and John as well. There was more to it. We wanted to do more. Victor and I were playing phone tag, and ultimately, I mean, it snowballs. Because now, instead of the CDs and the books, we're going to get this kid a new bass because his bass was ruined in the earthquake. Strings are like $200 a set down there, so we're going to get the kids some strings. We're going to get some kids an amp. And then it just comes out, and it's like, dude, let's take Vic to Haiti. And yeah, I mean, just as you guys caught on a lot faster than I did. That was quite an outrageous ask. But the cool thing was, again, is I hooked up with Victor, and he kindly enough heard me out, and he was in. He was all in.
That's awesome. And the cool thing is, those of you who are Daybreakers who are part of this church, our missions team helped fund some of this project by sending them out and allowing them to go so that John could video them on that trip. And because of that, tonight, you in this room are the first to see this movie in its entirety ever. So would you thank these guys for allowing that to be possible? Josh, why don't you take that and you can give it to Victor.
So I'm left here with the task of introducing Victor to you. I've been trying to rack my brain on how best to do that, because for me, I've known of Victor 30 years as a fan. I became to start working with him 2005. But I need to explain to you who he is for those of you who are not music geeks like myself and entrenched in the day-to-day world of the music industry. I think the best way to do that is just to start hammering out some facts for you, so you can just bear with me and follow along. Victor Wooten, he's the youngest of 5 brothers. He began making music at roughly about the age of 2, and by the time he was 5 years old, he was playing bass in the family band. By the time he was 6, him and his brothers were actually touring the country, opening up for Curtis Mayfield. Yeah. Not a bad start. But, I mean, by the time he's in high school, he's touring the country, working with bands such as War and The Temptations. He ultimately becomes a founding member of the supergroup Bea Fleck and the Flecktones. And with that band, he has won a total of 5 Grammy Awards. Yeah, that's not a bad collection. Now, in the world of bass guitar, he's won every major award available to a bass player. He's won them all. He's been voted Bassist of the Year by the readers of Bass Player magazine 3 times. No one has ever won it more than once, but him. Rolling Stone magazine has considered him one of the top bass players of all time. His debut solo recording is considered to be one of the most important recordings of all time in the recording industry as itself, but in my opinion, probably the most important recording of a bass player of all time. In 2008, he self-published a book entitled The Music Lesson, A Spiritual Search for Growth Through Music. It ends up selling so well that he gets picked up with a publishing deal, which escalates the success of the book even more. And that book ends up becoming required reading across major universities, or throughout major universities across the country. He's also now a guest lecturer and teacher at Stanford University, Harvard University, Miami University, and the Berklee College of Music. And this is where it gets even cooler. In his spare time, he and his wife have founded Wooten Woods, which is a 150-acre retreat just outside of Nashville, where they host nature and music camps throughout the year. And again, one of the cool things about Victor is it's not just his name on the title. Victor actually participates, and it's really impressive. I've got to talk with many people who have attended, and Victor makes a difference. That's all I can say. He really does make a difference in people's lives, above and beyond just the significance of music. So, without further ado, I do want to introduce you to the guy we do, I think, owe the greatest thanks to. You know, again, he's someone who has inspired me, he's motivated me, and he just never ceases to help me become a better human being. So if you could, give a round of applause for Mr. Victor Wooten.
Wow, thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone. Some powerful words. Yeah. So about those words, I want to first say I appreciate it, but now let's forget all of it. Because no matter what anybody does in life, how big or small it is, it can't be done alone. So even if someone does something that appears to be so huge and another person does the smallest part to make it happen, they both made it happen. So I appreciate all of the awards, all of the accolades, but I haven't done any of it alone. And so, as much or as little as I've been blessed to do, I owe it all to everyone before me, from my parents, my brothers who recognized me as a bass player literally at birth. Literally, sounds like a made-up story, but it's the truth. And I will go back to say, again, my parents who really shaped I'm the youngest of 5 boys, no sisters, but who really cared so much about who we were as people, not as musicians. Because my parents, I can't say they didn't care about our musicianship. They did, because they supported it to let us tour at 6. It's amazing. So they supported it, but they were more concerned about who we were as people. And now being a parent of 4 young kids, I'm so thankful for that. So I wouldn't be doing any of it without a lot of people behind me and in front of me, 4 of which are standing over there. So I thank everyone. And we're all, in my mind, just as equal. We're all blessed. Some of us, we can see how we're using those blessings more than others, but we're all doing it, and we're all doing it with each other. So I thank you for all of that. I'm going to play something here that I've only done once in this way, and this was at a NAMM convention a few years ago, where, for whatever reason, I got the idea to play my interpretation of the earthquake in Haiti, which, was just, a peaceful day, and then things started to go wrong. But my ending to the story is happy again. So this will be the second appearance of that song. I don't know how it'll go, but hopefully it will go, and we'll see what happens. So we'll figure out a name for it later. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Victor Wooten. That's for you guys.